Welcome to the common chaos of sisterhood.
I'm Haley.
And I'm Amy.
Come hang out with us.
Grab your drinks and get comfy.
And let's get into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. So this episode's kind of special because we're actually in
Together.
person. I can touch you.
They can touch you.
Oh,
We
my
have a
goodness.
vacation going on, and she is spending 2 weeks with me. So you get to have a couple of videos. We're gonna record a couple of episodes, actually us together. So for maybe a few months, you're gonna see us together.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
I'm excited.
I will say it's definitely different. Like being in person
Oh yeah,
instead of being
like you see a computer screen, you're like,
Right.
okay, I'm in my element, I got this. But like in person, it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
hi, what do we do?
Right.
We're staring at ourselves on a monitor.
Oh my goodness. All right, so question of the day.
Question of the day. Question of the day is, if you're an inmate on death row, what would be your last meal?
Oh. I've been like really craving and Asian food lately.
Yeah.
So I feel like it'd be like a good bowl of like ramen. With like a Dr. Pepper. I have to have a Dr. Pepper. What else? Some egg rolls
Some egg rolls.
and like some crab rangoons.
That's one thing I didn't
And
make
some-
like tonight was crab ragoons. We had Asian food. I made egg rolls, and I forgot to make the crab ragoons.
And the like gyoza like pot stickers.
Mm-hmm.
Like just a whole Asian meal, Asian inspired meal. Oh, and some sushi. Love sushi.
I'm gonna be like, okay, it's like I want to be so stuffed. I'm gonna be like miserably full.
Yes.
Be like, okay, now you're good. You can kill me.
Yeah.
Honestly, right now I kind of been like craving so bad. Chicken Express.
Just Chicken Express.
Chicken Express. it's a chicken place back in in Central Texas. Oh, it's so good, and like I miss it. It's nothing here. Nothing's like Chicken Express. Like nothing.
Right.
Like, and it's,
As I don't think
so
I've ever
good.
had anywhere that compares to it. Like a lot of people will talk about like Church's chicken or like Bush's chicken. It's like, oh, it's
Bush's
just like
is
same.
the closest.
But like every time I try it, it's not. It's not
It's not the
chicken
same.
Express. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Bush's is the closest, but I get a roll, like a tender rolls with like honey on it. But it's like I get a different meal. But it's the closest thing to Chicken Express.
So would that be your last?
That would be my last meal. Chicken Express would be my last meal. I'd be happy. I got some sweet tea, get some Chicken Express.
I thought that would be a good last meal.
That would be a good last meal. Get completely stuffed.
All right. So before we dive into our episode today, we are doing another true crime episode, and it is about a pretty prolific serial killer. So we're gonna go ahead and start our episode out with a content warning.
Content warning. I probably sound really stupid.
You want me to do content warning?
Content warning. Okay, so content warning. This serial killer is a pretty messed up dude. There is obviously murder. There is rape. Talk of suicide. There is it's a lot of sick things. It's kind of I don't know. It's almost worse than anything that we've done so far. So if this is not something that you can really handle, you don't want to listen to, I would, skip to another episode or wait for the next one. But we're going to go on and we're going to talk about Donald Pee Wee Gaskins today. He was an American serial killer and rapist from South Carolina who stabbed, shot, drowned, and poisoned more than a dozen people. So he's a little bit of a messed up dude. So we're going to start off like we normally do. We're going to go through childhood, and then we're going to make its way to what, like, his crimes that he did and go into. I don't need to explain this to y'all. Okay.
You should know this by now.
You should know this.
I don't think you have to explain it.
I don't need to explain it.
No, you don't.
They know. This is weird.
Do I need to start out his childhood?
No, I got it. So Thomas Gaskin was born March 13th, 1933 in Florence County, South Carolina. He was the last of Edna Parrott's. I believe that's how you say her name. Forgive me if that's not how you say her name. I'm not the best at pronouncing things. But many of her children were out of wedlock, and he was the last of her children. He was very small for his age. All of his life, he was tiny. So they got the nickname Pee-wee. Not really sure if he liked it or not, but that's the nickname he was given. And even as an adult, he was between 5'4" and 5'5". So he was a very petite, small dude. Gaskin's childhood was full of abuse and neglect and just miserable. It's kind of like the, I don't know, makings of a serial killer. Like it's gonna be, bad childhood, or the raising, or like they got in an accident. Something happened, and his childhood was full of abuse and neglect. His mother would have many boyfriends, so she not only had a lot of kids out of wedlock, she would go through boyfriends a lot, and all those boyfriends abused him. He was often locked out of the house. He was often left by himself. The boyfriends would physically abuse him, and the mother would just neglect him, wouldn't want anything to do with him. At 1 year old, Gaskins ended up drinking kerosene, causing convulsions until he was about 3 years old. And he was neglected by his mother. So he, at 1 year old, got at the cabinet and he's like, this looks yummy, it's juice. And drank some kerosene, and that could have caused some, intense brain damage. Mm-hmm. So along with following the neglect with the mother, she would often spend time with boyfriends, go out of the house for days on end. Like she would leave him. Like 5 years old, he would have to fend for himself with the siblings, and she would come back days later, could be a week later. So he spent a lot of time as a child by himself, fending for himself. Like he wasn't taught right from wrong. The only thing he was taught is the adults in my life are not here.
And by young age, we mean like 5, 6, 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like not old enough to really take care of himself. But eventually, as he got older, eventually his mother did end up settling down with a man and getting married. So instead of having a bunch of boyfriends in and out that are abusing him, she got married. And unfortunately, it is said that his stepfather would beat him and his siblings on a daily basis. So Gaskins not only had a hard time at home after being neglected at a young age, now his stepfather is abusing him, his mother's neglecting him still. He didn't have a much easier time at school either. He was bullied almost daily. And picked on for his stature, for his size. Like we said, he's a very small kid. So he was picked on. And everywhere he went, he was abused, picked on. Like, at home, at school. It's like he couldn't get away from it.
Like, no wonder why he turned out, like, so demented and
exactly. Like,
estranged.
Not vouching for a serial killer, but, like,
I mean, there's a reason why, like, it doesn't just, you're not born, I personally believe you're not born inherently evil or good. It's your raising. It's the people that nurture you, that love you. Sometimes, no matter how much you love somebody or try to take care of them, some bad things happen. They make bad choices. But, like, this is textbook making of a serial killer. This is the making of somebody that's going to make bad choices in their life because they weren't taught right from wrong, and they were just constantly abused physically, mentally, emotionally.
Yeah.
Well, at the age of 11, he ended up dropping out of school and working at a mechanic shop. At 11 years old. Could you imagine, like, being like, nope. Well, 11. How? That's like 5th grade.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's like 5th grade. Be like a 5th grader. Be like, peace out. I'm done with school now, and I'm gonna go work on your car.
Like, that would not happen nowadays.
Like half the time, I don't trust somebody to work on my car other than like people I personally know that work on cars.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna trust an 11-year-old boy.
No.
But soon after getting a job in the mechanic shop, Gaskins met 2 boys, this about the same age. They both dropped out of school, kind of troublemakers, named Danny and Marsh. They became really close and called themselves the Troubled Trio. So, like,
That's a great group name.
That's a great group name. That's gonna you know some bad things are happening with that name, Troubled Trio. Well, at the age of 12 and 13, the boys decided to go on a crime spree. Why couldn't they just be normal kids that play in the playground, or play around with sticks and climb trees? I don't know. I don't know what 12-year-old boys do, but definitely not crime sprees. This spree included theft in people's homes. They actually picked up sex workers at the age of 12 to 13. And unfortunately, gang raping and abusing younger boys that just wanted to be part of their gang. They wanted to be a part of the Troubled Trio, and they would abuse these younger boys and then threaten them and make them scared so they wouldn't go to the cops. And then the 3 boys actually ended up getting caught gang raping Marsh's little sister by Marsh's father. And when his father saw this, like, I couldn't imagine as a parent walking in on that. He didn't call the cops. He tied the boys up and beat them black and blue. They were bleeding. They were like this. He didn't report them. He didn't do anything. I wish he would have reported them because it changed everything that happened. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't say I would have done any better. He tied him up and beat him.
Makes you wonder if he would have actually reported it, if it would have kind of stopped some of these things that like happened.
I don't know, because like the research that I've done with these, I don't think much would have stopped him from doing what he wanted to do.
That's true. Soon after that incident happened, the boys ended up moving, and it ended the Troubled Trio. So like their gang that they had ended because they moved after this event. So even though Danny and Marsh were gone, Gaskins continued with his crime sprees. So now he doesn't have a gang to do all these things with, but apparently he was enjoying it so much that he wanted to continue it.
He didn't know anything better. He didn't know.
That's just what you do, I guess. What else are you supposed to do?
Abuse and neglect. That's all he knows.
Yeah. So in 1946, when Gaskins was 13, he had broken into a young woman's home while she was not there. When the young woman got back, she noticed that someone was in her house. So instead of calling the cops or alerting someone or asking for help, she decides that she is going to handle it herself. So she grabs an axe and...
Grab the axe.
She grabbed the axe and made her way into the house. She swings at him, and she actually hits him. But apparently not hard enough, because he ended up struggling with her and they got in a little kerfuffle. And
I love that word.
kerfuffle. And he took the axe from her and ended up hitting her in the head. Luckily, it didn't it didn't knock her out or anything. She was able to get away, but none of the cops were not called. Like, I don't know. If I saw someone break into my house, like I knew someone was in my house, I would not be going into the house.
Like, this boy is like, he's what at this point 13 years old, and he's gotten away with so much crime because no one's calling the cops.
Yep.
No one's reporting it. Like, if anything comes from any of our episodes or any of our true crime stuff, if something happens, report it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't matter how small it is, if you feel like someone's peeking through your window, report it. Like,
makes me look out that window.
I know. I have an open window like right here, and it's like I looked over at it. I'm like, is anyone looking? But no, like report things. Like, write it down in a notebook, something, so people know what's going on. Well, with him, he fled the scene, and thankfully she survived, and that led to Gaskins' arrest and conviction of assault. Finally, like after the getting hit in the head with the axe, she's like, "Oh, now I'm gonna report it." Not immediately call 911, but thankfully she did survive, and it led to Gaskins' arrest and conviction of assault with a deadly weapon and attempt to kill. Gaskins ended up being sentenced to 5 years in a reform school in South Carolina, an industrial school for boys, because he was under 18. He couldn't really go to prison, so they had this, I don't know, a school full of troubled teens.
It was a home for troubled teens.
Yeah, basically a juvie, but a house, like an orphanage.
Seems like that would go great. That's a great thing. Put a bunch of boys together who have issues. Nothing can go wrong.
Like, right? It could be anger issues, or it could be like the smallest thing, like a little theft of a candy bar, or attempt killing somebody. Like, you just have a big range of stuff in this one house. Like,
sounds safe.
So almost instantly, he was beaten, he was abused, and he was also raped by fellow inmates. It said that it was up to 20 other students. I mean, it was 13, so I can't say that I would condone that. Definitely not. But you reap what you sow.
But, like, that kind of just, like, you were talking about earlier about how, like, it's just what he knows. It's the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he goes into this house to better himself, to be better for him, and it just continues.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what could be going through your head,
That was a 13-year-old child.
Right.
You have nobody that has taught you right from wrong. You have nobody that has stuck up for you. You have nobody that's shown you any bit of love, and this is what you know.
Yeah.
And he either had to get protection from the top boy in exchange for sex, or attempt to escape. And at this point, Gaskins had enough. Like, he's had enough of being abused. He's had enough of being just taken advantage of because of his size. And Gaskins ended up escaping and finding a traveling carnival in the area, which is really bizarre because you don't see a whole lot of those nowadays.
Yeah. Do they still exist?
Yeah, they actually had one popped up across the street.
Oh, really?
It was raining. We were going to go and take Amory, but it was raining and gross, and they didn't open it.
The amount of things that I've heard about, like, these true crime stories about them, like, joining traveling circuses and stuff like that.
Don't trust
think I would want to go to a traveling circus after that.
But it was this like cool little traveling carnival, and had like workers that would go with it. And he joined them. And while he was traveling with them, he met this 13-year-old girl, was infatuated with her, and ended up marrying her. And they both they worked at the carnival together.
So after joining a traveling circus, and then getting married, he's, what did we say, 13 at the time? he got married? Or
I don't know what time when
she
he
was
got married.
13.
She was 13.
She was 13.
He was
so
between
was still
13 and 15, 16.
Yeah. So while he was with the circus, he realized that he couldn't truly be free. Because he's still a minor. Like, you really can't do much. So he voluntarily went back to school to finish his sentence. So back to the home for troubled boys.
Yeah, the reform school.
Back to the reform school to finish out his sentence. Because, if he didn't, he'd just kind of be, worn out for his arrest his whole life.
Yeah. He'd be taken either finished at his 18 or taken to prison when he's above 18.
Right. So he decided to go back, and he was finally released on March 13th, 1951, at the age of 18. That was on his 18th birthday. On his 18th birthday, he was released into the world to figure out his adult life.
Yeah, like, so this child, I'm going to say this innocent child, starting off, had the worst luck of being born into this terrible family.
Yeah.
Terrible mom. They didn't have a dad to look up to, and it just, you grow up like that, you become a monster. And I'm not saying everybody, because like there could be people that have these like horrible childhoods, but have become these great people. But it is makings of a monster. Mm-hmm. And everything that this boy has gone through has gotten worse and worse and worse and worse until he's legally an adult, which I made some really bad mistakes at 18 years old. I was not an adult. I should not have been classified as an adult. I was definitely still a child. But he tried to make the best of it after he got out. He was still married to this girl. He got out of the school, and he got a job working at a tobacco plant. And everything was going good. Like he was working, he was doing what he needed to do. But then he got bored. And he needed to find like an outlet. So he got involved with insurance fraud. And some of the local he started partnering with the local farmers to burn down the barns, and he would do it for a price. So they would be able to collect the insurance. The farmers would be able to collect the insurance, and they would pay off Gaskins. And so that's how he would make more money on the side. I mean, it wasn't... I mean, a while back ago, it would probably be a lot easier to get away with insurance fraud than it is now. But and I'm not saying that's like a bad... Like, it's still bad. It's still illegal. It's a bad crime. But it's not as bad as he could be doing. He needed an outlet, and that's the outlet that he found. Again, not sticking up for him. We're not saying poor him. But people started getting suspicious of him and asking questions and being like, this isn't adding up. You have been here, now the barn went on fire. You've been here and the barn's on fire. Like, it's not adding up, and people are getting suspicious and start talking. Well, one of the daughters of one of the farmers confronted Gaskins and saying, everyone thinks it's you. Everyone thinks that you're the ones burning down the barns. Is it true? Just questioning him. She's curious. She's questioning him. As far as I know, while I was doing the research, she wasn't being hostile about it. She wasn't trying to turn him in. She was asking. But it still upset Gaskins. So he grabbed a hammer and beat her in the head with it, splitting her skull. Just because she was questioning him. He lost it.
Maybe he got scared.
He probably did get scared. He's 18-year-old kid. Probably did get scared. He said, I can't go to that reform school again.
Yeah. But thankfully, she did survive. So far, he is assaulted 2 different women,
Mm-hmm.
and they both survived.
They both survived. So
first one with an axe,
Yeah.
second with a hammer. Both hit them both in the head, and they both survived. He's not very good at hitting people in the head.
yeah,
Like, not to be rude,
I think
but like,
no, completely meant to be rude.
completely meant to be rude.
You're not good at this. Honestly, I think it's scared. Like, it's a scared child. It's a scared boy, and he's not attempting to like, oh, I'm gonna murder this person.
He's
scared.
Yeah,
He's scared and it doesn't know what to do, so he lashes out, and it's became a pattern.
Yeah,
it is 100% a pattern now.
Yeah, but so she survived, and he was again caught and arrested in 1953. He was then sentenced to 6 years at the South Carolina Penitentiary for assault with a deadly weapon and attempted murder. So the first one, because he was under the age of 18, he was sent to the reform house. But now that he's an adult,
quotations,
he now has an adult sentence. So he got 6 years at the South Carolina Penitentiary.
And just like in the reform school, he was beaten, he was raped because of his small size. Like, it just seems like it's just he has a pattern of he did something, he got in trouble, he gets beaten and neglected. It's just a pattern to him now. And he's realizing, you know what? I need more power. I need respect. I need power, and I need this to stop. I need to be left alone. And he comes up with a plan. And he makes friends with the most feared man in prison, because he needs protection.
He needs to get to, like, the top of that.
Yeah, top of that totem pole. He needs the respect from us, the men. And after gaining his trust, Gaskins cuts his throat. So the most feared man, the most just big bad man, little Pee Wee Gaskins killed him. He's a badass. He needs respect now. This cost him an extra 3 years in prison, along with 6 months in solitary confinement for involuntary manslaughter.
How is that involuntary?
I don't know. That's what it said.
Like,
that is 100%
voluntary.
Very voluntary manslaughter. He could have been like, oh, it was I was protecting myself. It was self-defense.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just what it
know.
says, what I wrote down. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm sorry.
Well, the plan did actually end up working. And because he killed the guy at the top of the totem pole, he just took his place.
Now he's at the top.
So he now became very respected in prison, and everyone started leaving him alone. So all these people that were, using him and being rude to him and abusing him, because he did that one thing, they've left him alone now. And after that, his prison experience was more enjoyable.
No, he
per se.
Yeah, it's like quotations. I'm like, you're in prison. I don't know how much enjoyable you can get.
Yeah.
But he wasn't beat for the first time in his life. He wasn't raped for the first time in his life.
It's like he had a second to
breathe. Okay, he had
I
power.
Don't worry about anyone bothering me because I have the upper hand.
Yeah. Well, you remember the 13-year-old girl he married? Well, they're still married. While he's in prison, don't forget about her. They're still married.
I forgot about her.
she would still write to him in prison. She would still communicate with him. But they eventually she asked for a divorce in 1955. And Gaskins was not having it. He was pissed. He needed to escape. He needed to get out of there. He needed to talk to her. Like, letters were not gonna do it. And he was like, all right, let's hatch a plan. And this is another part of his pattern. Mm-hmm. Something bad happens. He gets in trouble. He gets abused. he escapes.
So after he escaped prison, oh, sorry, not after. He escaped prison.
He escaped prison.
We gotta talk about how he escaped first. So he escaped prison by hiding in a garbage truck or a stolen car. Not exactly sure which one, but he did hide in a vehicle. And in 1955, he made his escape and headed towards Florida. Once he got there, not entirely sure, he ends up finding another carnival.
How many carnivals are going to pick up random strangers?
Who knows? Were the carnivals popular in the 50s?
Maybe.
It's possible.
I wouldn't say why not.
Oh. So while he's at this carnival, he met a young lady by the name of Betty Gates.
So instead of, trying to find, 13-year-old, because I couldn't find her name. I didn't know her name. So 13-year-old girl that he married.
Is not divorced.
I wasn't sure if he asked for a divorce or wanted a divorce, but he's infatuated with this girl now. He's
head over heels for this girl.
He's like, this 13-year-old girl, I escaped prison to go talk to you. Nah, I
found someone else. So, Gaskins really liked Betty. Like, head over heels for this girl that he just met. Yeah. And she had asked him if he could help her bail her brother out of jail. So, Betty realizes that he is absolutely infatuated with her. And she's going to use it to her advantage.
As one does.
So,
apparently,
her brother was in a jail in Tennessee. And Gaskins agreed. He got the money together and drove with Betty to Tennessee to bail her brother out of jail.
How much do you have to like a person to be like, all right, I just met you. Let's drive to Tennessee. I'm on the run because I escaped prison. Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's go. Let's go
to a jail.
Yeah, let's go to another jail to break out your brother. Like,
makes no sense.
Well, Betty ends up giving Gaskins a pack of cigarettes. And in those pack of cigarettes were razor blades hidden in them, unknown to Gaskins. Gaskins didn't know that there was razor blades in them. He takes the cigarettes and the money to the jail and drops them off for her brother. But the brother doesn't get bailed out at that time. He dropped that stuff off for him to be able to, get out.
It's processed, yeah.
And the two of them head back to the hotel and wait for their brother, because they're supposed to meet him at the hotel. Well, Gaskins goes to the store, leaving Betty at the hotel just in case, if he comes by, at least you're here. Goes to the store, grabs some cigarettes or something, because, I gave him my cigarettes. I'm going to get me some cigarettes. But he comes back, and Betty's gone. The car's gone. He's by himself in the hotel. And to Gaskins' surprise, the cops show up. Because, when you're entering the prison, you have to put in your address, put in your identity, who you are, how they didn't arrest him there. I don't know. But they came up to him and they're like, hey man, that explain the whole situation. This dude escaped with razor blades, which I don't know how one escapes prison with a razor blade. There's guards, they have guns. This dude has a razor blade. I don't know. There's a lot of escaping in this, and it makes me mad. It irritates the ever living crap out of me.
This was also the 1950s.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
It drives me insane because so many things could have been prevented. Okay. Anyways, the police showed up and they're like, "Hey man, you've been scammed. That wasn't actually her brother. That was her husband. And he escaped with the razor blades."
He just got played.
He got
fell
played.
Head over heels about this girl that he just found was being so helpful to her, and she was just using him.
Mm-hmm.
Another instance of people abusing and using him. So the police then pull up Donald Gaskins' record and realize that,
oh, you're an escape convict too.
you're supposed to be in prison. And he was arrested. So he gets out, finds this girl, helps her get her brother out of prison.
Oh yeah.
Her husband escapes, and he gets caught again in the process and is sent back to prison with an additional 9 months to his sentence for aiding escape.
Not for
Not
escaping.
for escaping.
Not for escaping. For aiding an escape.
Yeah. Yep, makes sense. I think
yeah.
it makes total sense, right?
Oh yeah. It's like, good for you, bro. You escaped. Like, we're not gonna send you for that. But aiding an escape, that's a no-no.
That's a no-no. Bad.
No. 9 more months. You're gonna get out anyways.
Oh my gosh. So while he was in jail this time,
Yeah.
he had befriended a mafia boss named Frank Costello, and they became very close. Frank Costello offered Gaskins a job for when he gets out. So in 1961, Gaskins was released, and he returned to Florence, South Carolina, to try and settle down. To try to...
Huh? Go ahead.
To try and, maybe get his life together, settle down, become a normal person.
As one does after a whole life of crime.
Yeah. Well, that didn't work. So again, he reverts back to his life of crime. And, yeah, that's interesting.
He finds a job with a traveling minister.
Not a traveling circus.
No, not a carnival this time, not a circus, a minister.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm a good boy now, I'm going to get my life together. But no, he actually used the hey, I am traveling with this minister, I'm a good guy, and becomes his driver. And people aren't going to suspect somebody that's traveling with said minister. And while Gaskins was driving, he would break into homes and steal people's shit. Constantly. And no one questioned, no one was like, hey, this pattern, you were here, stuff was stolen. You were here, stuff was stolen. No. Because the minister, no. Okay, so, in 1962, Gaskins would get caught and arrested for raping a 12-year-old girl. So again, with this pattern of crime, get caught, jail, or get sentenced, escaped, continue doing stupid shit.
And getting caught again.
You would think they would keep a better eye on him. Like, hey, this dude is constantly escaping. This dude is doing all these bad things. We're gonna keep an eye on, like, a FBI or something. But no, he gets arrested for statutory rape and escapes again while being sentenced. Escapes while being sentenced. Not even in jail yet. You
would think that they would have this dude handcuffed in a room with someone outside that room. Because, hey, this guy is known to escape. You cannot let him escape. You have to, we cannot let him escape again.
Do you know how hamsters, can fit anywhere their head can fit? Because they can flatten.
That's what
flatten their.
Maybe he's
their
just crawling
ribs.
out of the bars.
He's just
maybe because he's that small. He's just crawling out of the bars.
You put some chicken wire up to something. I don't know.
Oh my god.
But he then heads to North Carolina. So he's done with South Carolina, and moves to North Carolina.
And he ends up meeting a 17-year-old girl.
And they're getting a little bit older.
And marrying her.
How he convinces these girls, these children, to marry him. I don't know.
Is he still married to the 13-year-old?
I think so. I don't know. I couldn't
Okay.
find if they were definitely divorced or she wanted to divorce him. But she married him.
Okay.
I don't know.
So, they get married. And, like one does when you're married to someone, you just talk about your life. Talk about things that you've done and, whatnot. Well, he decided that he was going to open up to her.
Yeah, I like walks on the beach. And my favorite food's tacos.
Yeah. So stuff like that. Yeah, no. He decides to tell her that he was on the run from the law for raping a 12-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's hey, honey. I like. I think I want to get some sushi tonight. By the way, I'm fucked up in the head, and I did some shit.
I'm a felon.
And I'm running from the law.
Actively supposed to be in prison right now.
No.
Yeah. She luckily was smart and turned him in.
You go, girl. Like you're the first smart person in any of these stupid true crime stories that I have found. She is like, no.
Stop right there.
Like I could imagine like hearing that and like being like, okay, yeah, okay. I have him. Like I'd be scared because like this felon is telling me like I'm like this is not the person I married. It's not the person I fell in love with.
Right, exactly.
But it's just like I would like I gotta go to the bathroom. I have him.
He's here.
He's here. Come get him.
So again, Gaskins is arrested and sentenced to only 6 years in prison.
I truly 100% believe if you take the innocence of a child, you should have your parts lopped off.
Well, it's not like the first time he's done it either. So why is he only getting 6 years?
I would say like it needs to be done to him, but it already happened. He just needs his junk lopped off.
Yeah, he just needs to lose his right to be able to do that.
Yeah, like I'm not sorry.
Put a chastity belt on him.
Like no, lop it off. It's gone.
But luckily, he did not escape this time. He actually did serve his full sentence.
Oh yeah, 6 years.
Full 6 years. And was then released in November of 1968.
Well, after he was released, it is said in his he wrote a book like while he was in jail. While he was in jail, he wrote a book. Not at this point, but later on the road. He wrote a book in his memoirs. He said that he started getting darker thoughts. How do you get darker than, what he did to this child? Yeah. But he started getting darker thoughts, and he couldn't control these thoughts and feelings, and they just consumed him until he committed the crime. Like it would consume him. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't function until he released these thoughts. In September of 1969, Gaskins picked up a woman hitchhiker in North Carolina. Asked her said, hey, I'll pick you up, take you anywhere, but in exchange, I want you to have sex with me. She laughed. He said he reported she laughed and said no. And he became enraged. Like part of the pattern. Woman does something he doesn't like, he becomes enraged. And he didn't have a hammer or axe this time. But he still beats her until she is unconscious. And then Gaskins then rapes her and sodomizes her and tortures her. Gaskins then dumps her body in the nearby swamp with rocks tied to her so she would sink in the swamp. In his memoirs, he also said, all I can think about is how I can do anything I wanted to her. Like how messed up is that? If you had these things happen to you if you had all these bad, terrible things happen to
Why
you,
would you want to do them to someone else?
exactly. Like, why? It doesn't make sense to me.
You know what it feels like. You know what it like. You know the pain and the suffering that you went through about being belittled and used and taken advantage of, and you continue to do it to other people.
It's like things that happen to me. I know I don't like it. I don't like being hit. I don't like fighting because it hurts.
Yeah.
Am I gonna hit somebody else? No. Am I gonna punch someone else in the face? No, because I've been punched in the face before. It doesn't feel good.
No.
Unless I'm defending myself, I ain't gonna go out and hurt somebody else.
Right. Exactly. Well, unfortunately, this woman was said to be the first of many. He said that he had picked up and murdered while driving around the coastal highways. Gaskins would kill both men and women, solely for pleasure, and at least once every 6 weeks. He said he got a thrill out of torturing and mutilating his victims while they were still alive. A lot of the methods that he would use would be stabbing, suffocation, mutilation, and even tried cannibalism at one point. But he said that he didn't like it. So
Oh, that's nice. I didn't. Oh, man, that's just not my palate. I just. You try everything once. Freaking disgusting. Well, since he didn't have an MO, like he didn't have a certain thing he followed, the police investigators could not figure out if this was a serial killer or just random killings happening down the coast. Gaskins said he felt an overwhelming need to seek out and commit these coastal kills, what he called it. He called it the coastal kills, by the 10th of each month. So every month, every 4 weeks, he had to commit one of these coastal kills, or he couldn't function. In 1970, Gaskins committed the first of his confirmed murders. So he said that there's coastal killings all down the coast, and it's said to be his, but the ones that we're going to talk about right next are his confirmed murders, and this is what he gets put on trial for. So in 1970, Gaskins committed the first of his confirmed murders. These confirmed murders were people that he knew and killed for personal reasons. The first ones was he murdered his niece Janice. She was 15 years old, and her best friend Patricia at 17 years old, by beating them to death just like the other woman. He said that he was enraged by their drug abuse, but others say that he was attempting to sexually assault them, and they didn't take kindly to that, so he got enraged and killed them.
So he has anger issues.
He has major anger issues. But it's not very many people think that it was drugs. They were doing drugs.
So the next of the confirmed murders it was either in 1971 or 1972. Not completely sure on what exact year. Gaskins claimed to have poisoned a 20-year-old girl named Martha and dumped her in a ditch. Her bones were later found, but went missing when given to a university to study.
How does one's bones just disappear? Like, just all the death aside, like that it bewildered me when I found that fact. It was just like it was a weird fact that her bones went missing, but like to a university study, like it's weird. It's a weird fact.
Yeah, it is.
But in 1973, Gaskins raped and drowned both Doreen, that was 22 years old, and 2-year-old daughter, Robin. Doreen was pregnant with her second child and talked to Gaskins about staying with him. She wanted to stay, live with him for a little bit because she needed help. And Gaskins was like, yeah, come on, I'll pick you up and I'll take you to my house. Well, Gaskins picked them up, but he took him to a wooded area where he raped and killed both Doreen and Robin. And then he buried them together. So Doreen, her unborn child, and her 2-year-old child were all buried together.
In 1974, Gaskins shot and killed his friend, Johnny, who was 36 years old, in the head and stabbed Johnny's ex-girlfriend, age 22, to death to hide his involvement in an auto theft ring.
So he was involved with all kinds of different crime, but he had stolen a boat, and he wanted nothing to do with like being caught because he didn't want to go back to prison. So he just
was
to kill him.
If the people who were involved in it are dead, they can't tell the police.
Yeah.
I guess.
In 1975, Gaskins murdered 6 more people. Do you remember Frank Costello, the mafia boss?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's how he got involved with like a murder for hire job that he had. And it is said that some of the coastal kills were some like murder for hire, but it is confirmed that Salas Yates, age 45, was a murder for hire victim, $1,500, and that was set up by his ex-girlfriend and her husband. There was also Diane Needley, age 25, and boyfriend Avery Howard. They threatened to report to the police that Gaskins was having sex with minors, and he was involved with the auto theft ring. So, of course, just like Johnny and Johnny's ex-girlfriend, they had to go. The other one was Kim Gulkins, age 13. Gaskins stabbed her to death to hide the fact that he kidnapped her and sexually assaulted her. And the last one was Dennis Bellamy, age 27, and John Knight, age 15. They were both Diane Needley's half-brothers. So to keep them kind of hushed about Diane's murder, he decided to kill her brothers too.
So after the 4 years of continuous killings, Gaskins was finally found and arrested on November 14th of 1975 because a criminal associate named Walter Neely confessed to police that he had knowledge of the murder of Denise and Johnny. Walter confessed to police that Gaskins had confided in him that Gaskins killed multiple people that were listed as missing and where they were buried.
On December 4th, 1975, Walter led the police to the Gaskins' private cemetery. Gaskins was bragging and telling him about this private cemetery, trusted Walter, and Walter's the one who gave the police all the information. So he led them to the private cemetery, and the police found the bodies of all these people. Gaskins was tried on May 24th, 1976, and found guilty on May 28th and sentenced to death.
Good.
Yeah, good. But unfortunately, it was changed when South Carolina General Assemblies of 1974 ruling on capital punishment was changed to conform to the U.S. Supreme Court guidelines for the death penalty in other states. So, it gave him another chance to escape.
Which when the Supreme Court actually made those guidelines, it actually let out a lot of people.
Murders.
It took them all off death row and gave them the ability for parole. Like there's some serial killers like Kenneth McDuff. He was a serial killer in Texas, and he got out after being on death row. Mm-hmm. Got out and continued to kill. He got out on parole.
Yeah, and it's just, it baffles me.
Like
that would be a terrifying time to live.
Absolutely.
Because all these people are being taken off. Like, I am for, like, if there was innocent people on death row, like, another trial or something.
Right.
But if these people are murderers,
Like, you know for a fact
rapists,
that they did
like,
this stuff.
like, they're horrible, horrible people, how are you going to send them back into normal society? You think they're not going to do it again? Like, definitely, if it was, like, an accidental death, maybe, and they got put on death row for it, and it doesn't follow their behavior, but somebody that's had a life full of crime, has had a life full of death, life full of murder, keep them on death row. Like,
yeah, exactly. I completely agree. Well, on September 2nd, 1982, Gaskins committed yet another murder. So while in high security, Gaskins killed another death row inmate by the name of Rudolph Tyner. Rudolph's murder was another murder for hire by Tony Kimmo. And Tony was actually the son of one of Rudolph's victims. So while he was, after getting off of death row, in high security prison, he killed another death row inmate.
yeah, I don't know. I think this guy has to be stupid. This guy has to be straight up stupid to be able to be like, okay, hey, life has given me another chance. I'm off death row. Let's get my act together. Let's just, I know I got 4 life sentences in prison, but let me live my life in prison peacefully. Not, hey, I got off death row. I can get off scot-free. I'm going to murder this other person. Well, Gaskins made many failed attempts to kill Rudolph. He started by lacing his food and his drinks, and just nothing was working. And he needed to step up his game because he couldn't knock this guy. So he chose to use explosives to kill him, given him by the person that hired him to kill Rudolph, Tony. Gaskins rigged a portable radio in his cell, allowing him to communicate from cell to cell. Which, how he got that, I don't know. I don't know how he does half the stuff he does.
Who knows?
How is he escaping? How is he getting portable radios? How is he getting all these great things? I don't know. But he had one, and he ended up getting C4 plastic explosives from Tony. And Rudolph followed Gaskins' instructions to hold the radio to his ear at an agreed time. Like, hey, I'm going to call you at this time. Be really close. Turn the sound down so the guards don't hear. And I'm going to talk to you.
We're going to be best friends.
We're going to be best friends. We're going to be buddies.
Like, hi.
Like,
hello?
Hello? Kaboom. Because as soon as he put it up to his face, Gaskins detonated it from his own cell. And Gaskins said in his memoir, the last thing that he heard was me laughing.
That's so sadistic.
That is sadistic. Like, that is a messed up. Like, this dude.
So, he was again tried for murder and was put back on death row.
See how he gets out of it this time.
Yeah. So while on death row, Gaskins did actually end up confessing to killing 100 to 110 people.
That being the coastal kills that he talked about.
Yeah. So, Gaskins was executed by electric chair on September 6th of 1991 at 1:10 a.m., hours after he tried to kill himself by cutting his wrists. So he got sentenced to death row, and he goes, "Well, I don't want to die. I don't want to be electrocuted to death. So I'm just gonna try to take care of myself." So he tried cutting his wrists to try killing himself. Well, he obviously didn't succeed. They ended up taking him to the infirmary and stitching him up and whatnot, and
put him right back on death row where he belonged.
Exactly. And like I said, on September 6th of 1991, at 1:10 a.m., he was executed by electric chair. And his last words before he was electrocuted were, "I'll let my lawyers talk for me. I'm ready to go."
How can one be so cocky, being like doing all of these things that he's done, doing everything that he's done, and be cocky and be like, I'll let my lawyers talk for me. I ain't gotta deal with
But
it.
the thing is, he literally chickened out. He says, "Oh, I'm ready to go," but he literally just tried to
He tried
to escape.
Yeah, like
by
that was
killing
his
himself.
was his last attempt of escaping his crime.
Like he couldn't. He tried and he couldn't escape this last one.
And everything could have been changed, could have been prevented if the man did not escape or put on parole to be let out. Like all like we talked about, like all these people, just because they changed the death row penalty or whatever, they let so many murderers out.
Yep.
And I think, on me personally, that was one of the biggest mistakes. Because like that's where a lot of the murderers came from. That's where, yes, I guess that's the part of me. I'm fascinated by serial killers. I'm kind of fascinated by true crime.
Yeah, same.
But
Doesn't mean I want it to happen.
Doesn't mean I want it to happen. And being alive during this time, that would be terrifying.
Absolutely.
Having my daughter during this time, that would be horrifying.
Yeah.
And to let somebody, constantly do these crimes, escape. Do these crimes, escape. And it just gradually got worse and worse and worse. Lock him up.
Like
throw him in a ditch.
I couldn't imagine being like someone and just like reading the news, like reading a newspaper, and just being like, "Oh, he got out again. Oh, he got out again." And then it's like, "Oh, okay, he's on death row."
Oh, they let him out.
Like, he's on death row. It's fine. Oh, okay, so now he's
just gonna enjoy his life in prison, having 3 hot meals and...
Yeah. Like, there was actually photos that we saw of people, like, standing outside.
Like protesters.
The day he was, I believe it was the day he was executed, with signs that said, "Die, Pee Wee, die."
Yeah, like he was one of the most hated men in America.
Yep.
And it's understandably why. Like,
yeah.
I completely understand. But like, don't... His life started off so rough, and it saddens me.
Yeah.
Okay, it really hurts my heart that he had to go through all these things. But at some point in your life, you have to make a choice. Am I going to
let those things affect
you? Let these things affect me, let these things like keep happening, or am I going to change my life and try to be better?
Right.
And I hope everyone that's ever had a rough time growing up has made those choices, like, hey, I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to leave the world a better place than I came in it. And that's, if it's anything that you're going to be left with today, I really hope you leave this world a better place than you were put in it.
You can't let your past define you.
No.
Whatever happened in your past, whatever thing you've gone through, you can't let it define you. You can't let it sit there and be like, "Well, I'm this way because of this happened."
And just stew in it and be like, "Oh, I can't change."
Your life is going to be miserable if you don't try to make it better. If you sit there and you stew in your past mistakes, and you stew in things that you wish you could have done differently, or you wish that were done differently to you, you're never going to move on. You're never going to find your happy place. You're never going to be able to move on and live your life if you sit there and dwell in it.
Not only do you have to forgive, like, other people that's hurt you, not saying you have to forget, not saying you have to trust them, not saying you have to, put yourself out there, but, like, forgive them. You have to forgive yourself.
Yep.
You forgive yourself. You forgive, like, go on with your life. Lead a better way.
You gotta understand that there's nothing you could do to fix it. It is what it is. It happened. And you try not to let other people... You try to let the people around you not let it happen to them. Your future children, not let it happen to them. Be that light for someone who's struggling for it. You know?
Learn from this stupid mother... Learn from this idiot. And don't try, if you do bad things, pay the price. Don't try to escape. Okay? Like he was an idiot, he's stupid, and this whole episode I'm pissed. It's frustrating and he pissed me off.
Maybe one of the content warnings should be, if you don't want to be frustrated, don't watch those.
Yeah. If you don't want to constantly be pissed off at the government and at him, don't watch this. Because the hours it took me for providing research, I was mad.
No.
I was bad mood.
Like, some of these things are interesting, but you get, like, ones like these, and it's, like, the things that could have prevented the things that happened. It's like, oh.
So we weren't there. We couldn't have fixed it.
Right, but
it happened, but still, it's frustrating.
Oh, my goodness. Well,
on that note, make good choices. Stay positive.
Stay positive.
And I hope you'll have a fantastic day. And if you're enjoying these episodes, if you're enjoying the true crime episodes, let us know, please.
If you're enjoying us being together, not
let us
two
know.
Screens.
Because we're together.
And I will say, it's very awkward.
It's weird. It was weird.
We're sitting here starting, and it's just like,
do we look at each other? Do we look at the camera? What do we do? Well, we are trying. We're putting our kind of putting our neck out there and seeing if, like, what we can do. Yeah. And if y'all like listening to what we do, let us know. If there's certain episodes that you like, let us know.
And we say that every single time, but, like, really,
like, seriously,
we need to know.
We need to know. We need to know what you like, what you don't like. If you don't like something, let us know.
We won't do it.
Yeah. Well,
maybe. Depends on how we feel.
It depends on how I feel about it. I'm sorry. I'm not changing. But if it's something you don't want me to talk about, then I won't talk about it. Maybe. But y'all have a fantastic day, and I hope great life. And
don't stop watching. I mean, this episode, just not all of the rest of the episodes. You can stop watching this episode.
Oh yeah,
it's about to end.
It's about to end. Yeah, you can stop watching now. We're just rambling at this point.
Okay, bye.
Don't forget to come hang out with us every Thursday when we talk about the common chaos of sisterhood.